Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I've bidden a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. On the show today, we're going to talk about a little bit of a tech wreck we had yesterday. Unexpected from my point of view, but I guess I shouldn't have been, because anytime you get Jack Dorsey and Sheryl Sandberg in front of Congress, apparently it'll cause volatility in the tech sector. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about earnings we had from CLDR and CTRIP and DOCU, as well as a few others. TLRY also caught a big downgrade this morning because there just isn't a lot of coverage on the stock. Our guest today, Mark Chaikin, he will join the show at 8:15. He is the founder of Chaikin Analytics. Joel, what happened in the overnight session?
Not a bad range, a little over a 10-point range. Got back into the 28.90 handle where we currently are. 28.92.75. We're only a few points away from that. Wednesday's, intraday high at 28.95. Pre-market low 82 even. The big number under that is 76.75 and 77.50. A few lows from last week. Crude up 9 cents after its tumble yesterday at 68.80, trying to break back into the 69 handle. Gold having one of its best days in years, up 8, and I won't say years, in weeks, up 8.90 at 12.10. Silver up 6 cents at 14.28, and boy, Bitcoin taking it on the chin today. Couldn't hold that 7,000 level. I got the C-bill futures down $550. Bitcoin trading at 6,370. Triple D, you're a little active off the open yesterday. How you doing?
Yeah, I was a little bit active after the open. I'm always active on the open. We showed the chart, and like I said, I think I make more than half my money on the open, but I've never figured out exactly, obviously. I know middle of the day, it's always tougher, but open and close, pre-market after hours are always key for me. So yeah, I was active off the open and after the open yesterday too, and I was using the tell. So I actually played the short side on some tech. I played the short side on some pot, and I actually had a pretty good morning there doing that. So what I was using around 9:30, saw a lot of the pot stocks really open high. You saw, no pun intended, you saw a lot of the tech stocks like Square that were opening high, but immediately giving it back. So I looked at Square. It opened actually it ended up opening, I think, almost flat. It was trading higher in the pre-market and just started collapsing. And I'm like, oh man, they're going to start hitting the leaders like the Squares. And if you looked at Amazon, it started collapsing. If you look at Netflix, it started collapsing. I was like, this could be the day where they do some profit taking. So I was actually able to short some Qs slightly down from the open. I think I started executing around 185.25 on the short side. And I was like, what I need to do. And then actually, not only that, so I got short the Qs at the same time, I was looking at the pot stocks roll over. So I went to Canada onto the Toronto Stock Exchange and shorted some Afria. Got short Afria on Canada around 1948, I think, which was just about 30-40 cents off the high of the day, because that had already started coming in too. But with TLRY coming down at the open, with CRON, CGC all coming down here, I was like, I think it spills over into Canada too. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk away from my computer and come back in an hour. And just leave these on. I put some stops, so obviously, and I had some physical stops in there. But then you called me, Joel, and we started talking. I was still sitting. I had the iPad literally sitting on so I can trade on my iPad or my computer. I had the iPad sitting there. And as we're talking on the phone over the course of that 5 minutes, I watched the QQQ go from 185.25 down to 184.25, down to below 184. And I was like, holy cow, this is, a huge move in 10 minutes here. I'm like, I got to start scalping out of some of this. So as you're talking, I'm slowly covering. And I'm like, Joel, stop me from covering. I was saying, stop me from covering. I watched my Afri. I was short in 1948. I watched it go down through 19, through 1850, through 18, trade down the 17 handle. I just put it on like 10 minutes ago short. That's how quickly it came down. So I was like, I got to cover some of that too. So I actually was a little bit early. I started covering the lower 18s, covered some more in the 17s, started covering my Qs, kept a little bit on, but the scalper blood in me got me out a little bit too soon, although on the AFRI, I was actually near the lows. On the Qs, we actually went down under 183, and I covered most of mine in the lower 184s. But just reading the tea leaves there, reading, the leaders and watching the leaders and watching them collapse was why I was able to get short, the Qs at a pretty good price.
Okay, that was
Joel,
a pretty good rant there, Spencer.
Joel, did
It wasn't
you
a rant?
Joel, did
It
you
was
catch anything of what Dennis just
I'm
said? Unlikely.
practicing for Monday.
No.
Because apparently Monday I'm doing the show entirely by myself. So Monday, because Jewish holiday, Spencer and Joel will be away. I am lined up to do the entire 1 hour show by myself. So I am practicing here right now to see if I can actually talk for 1 hour without taking a breath.
I mean, I might have to skip services. I mean, well, they actually start later, but no, I've always taken that day off. So that is going to be one special show on Monday. I can't wait for it. But
do you think I could talk for 1 hour straight by myself? Everybody says yes.
Okay. Well,
Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I do that when you guys in the background. You can't give me like, Dennis, let me interrupt. And I keep talking. Oh, I got to stop talking.
Well, you want to hear the funniest thing? Is that when you were on that, I was messing around with my Skype and I somehow paused the call. And I thought the call was gone. And I'm like, Spencer, call me back. And he's like, you're on the call. And so I went and I found the resume button and I resumed it. And you were like in mid-sentence. You never
still
stopped.
Talking.
Yes.
I remember I had this, I hope she's never listened to the show, but I had this high school girlfriend, I remember, and she could talk and talk and talk. And I can remember I was like over at my buddy's house and there was like 3 or 4 of us over there and she'd called me on the phone. And I think it was I would have been at my house, but I had buddies over and she was at her house because this was before cell phones. We're really dating ourselves here. And she called and I can remember it was like, cordless phone. So I remember her talking and she was like going for 10 minutes and they're like, Dennis, you haven't said anything in 10 minutes. And I'm literally like, here, I'm like, you listen. So we passed the phone around the room for like 20 minutes and it came back to me and she was still talking. She never actually stopped talking the whole time and never realized that I wasn't listening for like 15 or 20 minutes as my phone got passed around the room. She could talk that much. So maybe I picked up some of that from her, but I could talk a little bit too, but nothing like her. And I won't say her name to keep obviously.
Yeah.
The high school girlfriend, and she could talk.
Okay. Woo. All right, let's cover some stocks today before Mark Jakin comes.
Well, let's talk pot. Let's talk the pot stocks here. So TLRY, just a wild child. And I mean, it's actually downgraded here today. So we'll get to that in a second with Spencer Israel. But TLRY, wild off the hop. It was trading 90 pre-market. It opened around 86 and then collapsed down to 73. So just a tidy little 15% fall in a half an hour. And then it started crawling its way back and it gets all the way back up to almost flat. And then at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, blast off, goes from 85 to 96. So just a crazy range for the stock, getting all the way down to 73. I mean, that's why these things are hard to trade. I mean, if you're on the wrong side and if you're long it and you're saying, well, I'm going to hold to 100. I mean, you got to take some major heat because that thing was 90. Then it was down to 73. It looks like, the collapse. And even by the afternoon, gets all the losses back and tacks on another 10 points. Well, this morning, you're taking more heat here because we closed a little bit off the highs at 89. Now we're down the 83 handle because we got Northland downgrading the stock here. So, and there's only 3 analysts, I think, that had a buy rating on it. Cowen was another one. So there's not a lot of analysts that cover this. So when you get one that actually downgrades it, it takes it on the chin, even if it's not a widely followed analyst. Down 7% here this morning, TLRY. These things are absolutely wild.
Not much you could say. Technically speaking, 97.36. That was a high from yesterday. We're a good $14 off that. I keep an eye on the old time closing high of 89.86. That was $12 better than the previous day's close. So coming down, bring my number. I think you get it anywhere near 90. You'll find some resistance. Yesterday's low is way down at 73.54. I'll just keep an eye. Pre-market low right now is 82 even, but I don't think I've seen this kind of volatility in stock, in one individual stock in quite some time. So big volume yesterday, all-time closing high 89.86.
Yeah, and I am trading some of these other pot stocks here right now. I've got some funky spreads going on. We know I like to pair trade these things overnight. I'm short Kronos. I'm short Afria in Canada. I'm short Aurora in Canada, but I'm long MJ because MJ owns part of Kronos. I think it's like 10%. MJ's the ETF that Spencer Israel loves, and
You always say that
the holdings are I think 10% Kronos and it's like 12%
I don't love
CGC.
it. You always say I love it.
Why is Spencer love
You
it?
always
said
said
it on the show.
I didn't say it. I said if you
Spencer, why do you love MJ?
Oh my God! I said if you
Why do you love marijuana?
I said if you put a gun to my head and made me invest in the cannabis sector, I would buy the ETF. That's what I said.
Easiest way to play it.
That's what I would do.
Diversified.
I
Anyways,
don't love
I'm trading Afria. I'm trading Aurora. So I got all these funky spreads going on there. I'm a little more short than I am long, so I kind of like that they're down here today. But at the same time, these things are all wild. So if I all of a sudden stop talking on the show, you know I'm making trades. So
yeah, that's right.
These are all day trades. These are not position trades. These are all day trades, and it's paired off. So I try to like basically reduce the overall exposure to any one direction thing because they're so I'm basically just trading them against each other. When one goes down, I'll buy the weaker one and then sell the stronger one because these things all tend to move together. So you can't just do a percent for percent. There's betas, there's other things to consider, but and MJ's beta is less than in the other ones because it's got the diversification component in it. But I've been doing these for the last couple of weeks, just pair trading these things against each other, and it's been working pretty well.
Can we get something that flashes on the screen whenever you talk about these spreads that like trader discretion advised, like with those drug commercials, they talk about like all the side effects. Do not try this at home. Trader discretion advised on these spreads. It's
a safer way to play them. Like
it is a safer
flat
way.
Out,
right,
buying or selling one and making a call. I've always, been a relationship trader. And that's what my specialty is. That's what my edge is. I trade the relationships. And they all move together. I mean, if you chart TLRY on Kronos, they all look somewhat similar. Now, they don't look perfect because they're different companies, but they all tend to move together. Usually when the pot stocks are weak, they all tend to be down. When the pot stocks are strong, they all tend to be up. And especially overnight, they all really track together a little bit more well because you don't have as much noise overnight. You don't have as much high frequency traders, even though you have a little bit. It's just not as much noise. So it's a little bit smoother curve. So basically, I'm just looking at this and I'm actually long MJ. And these trades don't like say I'm bullish these things because I've got the spreads on. I'm just telling you, how I'm trading them. And these are just overnight trades. I will take these off today. MJ long, Aurora short, Afria short, Kronos short against it. So I kind of got a little bit of the ETF inside. I kind of artificially built a little bit of the ETF short against, the ETF long. So I'm just playing the spreads and saying, it's going to come in enough. And that's how I go about doing it.
Okay. All right. Let's get an earnings report in here, Spencer. We got Mr. Chaikin coming on in a minute, right?
We do. You want to go to CLDR first? We can.
Yeah, let's do CLDR.
All right. CLDR reporting yesterday after the close. Q2 just EPS, an 8-cent gain versus a 15-cent loss estimate. Sales $110 million versus $107 million. So good Q2 numbers. Q3 EPS guidance coming in higher by 3 to 5 cents. Sales guidance coming in higher by $3 to $4 million. Fiscal year guidance is also good for the sales and EPS.
Stock, huge pop, not giving it back. I mean, this thing was traded, and I actually tried to play it from the short side. I was like, oh, maybe this is a little bit overdone, and it just wasn't coming in. So I actually only lost a penny because I was leaning on a big offer, and the offer started to go, and I was like, okay, I got to get out. And I mean, after hours, sometimes you can lean on those offers, but you got to be quick, and sometimes you're not quick enough, and you get caught, and you go the wrong way. But I thought it might pause, and it did pause. It tried to come in a little bit, and just could not. Buyers just emerged. And that's the way this thing has been. CLDR, I don't know if this is going to give back. I'll tell you, in the after-hours session, this has had no weakness really since the report. So there's no signs that it wants to give it back. Funny things happen when the stock's open. You get different players coming in. You get some big institutional players maybe coming in. So it can do some different things. But right now, I see no signs of this giving it back.
Boy, oh boy, we got it. Our chat just has memory. Ron Bird's popping in here, and he said this was another Sean Udall pick, and I can remember him talking about this one in the space.
Yeah, it was.
Pre-market high, 1796. 1794. That's just under a whole number of 17 like that. So we'll see if that holds. Street leading the wrong way yesterday. They sold this thing off pretty hard and now getting a nice rebound. So use yesterday's high, 15.13. Actually, there were 3 highs in that area. So I don't know if you're going to see this back at 15 today, but if you do, there should be excellent support at 15. And when's the last time Claude there? I mean, this had, it's got this big old gap to fill, but has another gap. Let me see if I can find another resistance. The highest since it really got pounded was 17.34. So if you want a number above the pre-market high, 17.34 gets it into this big old gap area where you had a gap up to 21.37. So that's my number.
All right, 8:16. Let's go grab Mark. We'll be right back in a moment with Mark Chaikin from Chaikin Analytics. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are now joined by Mark Chaikin, the founder and CEO of Chaikin Analytics, longtime Wall Street vet. Mark, how's it going this morning?
It's going well, and we kick off the NFL season with the Eagles Atlanta tonight here in Philadelphia.
It's true. Very exciting day. Very exciting day for sports fans yesterday. Very exciting day for big tech followers yesterday. How much of that testimony did you watch?
Very little. I was just watching the headlines on CNBC. I've never known congressional hearings to really affect the market very much. So they trotted everybody out, and the end result is probably factored into the market already. You've got Facebook with a very poor technical pattern. Google suffered a bit because they didn't show up, so there were calls from Google's board to resign. And this is just noise. These stocks are going to do what they're going to do, and we have some interesting divergence or dichotomy in the Chaikin Power Gauge rating on these stocks. So that's something I would love to talk about.
What explain what that means exactly?
Well, we're really talking with the FANGs Plus here. So if you add in Apple, NVIDIA, and maybe Salesforce.com, you've got the tech leaders, some of them with very bullish ratings like Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, CRM, Salesforce, and Adobe and NVIDIA. And then you've got a bearish rating on Netflix, and Facebook has just a terrible chart pattern. So I think the time has come where you can't view the FANGs as a group. You have to take them individually and figure out which ones you want to buy on weakness.
So let's talk about each of these stocks going forward. I was also surprised to see them move the way they did yesterday, but I guess let's start with Facebook. You mentioned they're in a weak technical pattern. Kind of play this one out for us for over the next few weeks.
Well, I think what's happening with Facebook is being played out now on the media. If you look at the usage curves, Facebook usage monthly uniques is going down ever so slightly, but so is Instagram. So in the media, they're talking about how Facebook users are shifting over to Instagram, which Facebook also owns. But if you look at the usage curves, Instagram usage is going down ever so slightly. It's flattened out. And Instagram is lower profit margin business because the ad revenues aren't as good. So I think there's just a point in time where you look at the technicals and you let them guide you. I mean, obviously, this is a company that is selling at 20 times earnings, which Jim Cramer so elegantly says is sort of like Clorox. And Facebook is going to be with us for a long time, but we all know that fads come and go and nothing is forever. And it just may be that Facebook has had its day in the sun. People may be tired of all this. and you add in Twitter, and people are tired of all this. So it doesn't mean that you can't make money in these stocks, but you've got to be very selective going forward. And that's why I'm zeroing in on the three that I really like: Apple, Amazon, and Alphabet, because these are companies that make serious money, that aren't dependent on fad usage or social media embracement. This is nuts and bolts. Buy goods and services, search for what you want. This is all part of what I would call the new economy. From my point of view, Facebook and Twitter are not part of the new economy. They're just part of a new way of communicating, and that can change.
Mark, were you surprised to see sort of the weakness yesterday spread kind of across the entire sector, really?
Well, I think you've got the impact of ETFs, and that is something that is underappreciated. When people get bearish or see the bearish activity, they start pounding the ETFs that are concentrated in these, and that's from the spider on down to the triple Qs. So I think what happens is everybody is focused on algorithms on individual stocks. The high frequency traders very often kick off a move, but that also happens in ETFs. So they'll look at the basket of underlying stocks in the ETF, and if they see weakness in the biggest weights like Amazon, Apple, and Alphabet, then you'll get some programs that kick off selling in, and these are easy to short, by the way, because there's a lot of loan and borrowing capability. Then that affects everything, because the ETF basket makers have to sell everything in the ETF if they start taking on big sell orders.
Mark, I'll even go further than that, because I'm one of those traders that I do the ETF ARB against the stocks. I do it all the time, and I can just tell you it's actually even more exotic than that. When you see this rotation, it's funny because sometimes, and I've talked about this on the show before, you'll see the components, especially sometimes after hours and stuff. You'll see the major components taking on the chin, which will knock the ETF down. Sometimes the ETF's not down enough. And what actually ends up happening with the ARB, and people won't believe this, they'll go by in the Qs, there's about 10 to 15 stocks that aren't really tech stocks. There's Kraft Heinz, there's Starbucks, there's a number of stocks that aren't tech. Those actually go and get bought, because it all has to add up at the end of the day. And when you have the components like Amazon, and you can go into the major ones like Facebook and stuff down more than what the ETF is, then it's like, well, they have to make it up somewhere. So they actually go and buy. And that's why you see, people will say it's rotation. It's sometimes just pure ETF traders that are actually buying the non-tech components to get the whole thing to add up to one. So it's funky the way the ARB works sometimes, but I do it that way too. I mean, I would get long those stocks like a Kraft Heinz on a day where tech is weak, because it's in the Qs. It shouldn't be in the Qs, but it is. And you'll see strength in that stuff there too. So I just go as far to say as these ETFs are controlling the market a lot more than everybody thinks.
Well, I think that's very, valuable inside baseball, and it also plays into an opportunity here and a theme that I have just jumped on in the last week or so. You've got a lot of active managers and hedge funds that are lagging in terms of performance. So you're heading into the last 4 months of the year. What are they going to do? They have basically been in the value trade. Maybe they didn't get in it in the way that you just described, but there was a big, wave coming out of Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan that value was going to start outperforming growth. So they're underinvested in growth. That's why they're underperforming, and particularly in the 5 stocks that are driving all this. So I think that there's going to be 2 things happening. Active managers and hedge funds are going to have to get more aggressive here for the last 4 months of the year to play catch up. And number 2, I think that they're going to have to unwind this value trade and shift into growth. So I think the weakness that we're seeing here in tech is a buying opportunity. But I do think you have to be selective. So one stock I do want to highlight is Netflix. We've been bearish on that for over a month. And I think that's the one stock you do not want to bottom fish in. The technicals are breaking down. And there's an interesting stat. And of course, these things work till they don't work. Netflix has missed their October quarter 5 years in a row, meaning that the stock has taken a big hit after the October quarter was reported. I don't know what the demographics are, maybe their signups, their new subscribers dwindle at the end of the summer. But I think Netflix is a stock to avoid. I personally think it's toast. I think that this stock has had its day in the sun, and people need to be really cautious about Netflix going forward.
No, I saw it's trading up here in the pre-market, though. I don't know if it got an upgrade.
No, it's RBC. So it's a nice setup here too. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to jump in.
No, go ahead. No, that's
RBC taking it from their price target up to 440 from 360. And you know what? I totally agree with Mark here. I think this is a nice fade this morning. I mean, here you've got a candle, an ugly candle yesterday where everybody was nervous. You get a gift from RBC this morning. I think the institutions are going to take the gift. I think they're going to fade this pop. Now, I have some, I said this a couple weeks ago there when, Netflix popped up there, and Citigroup, I believe, was the one that gave it some love, and I was fading it. Well, it ended up not working for 3 or 4 days. It would have worked now. But this is a different story because it was pretty ugly yesterday. You get the lift into it. I think they're going to sell into this rally. That's just my opinion. But if I was long Netflix, I think I'd be fading along with Mark.
Okay, Spinner in the chat, Mark wants to know what you like, or if you don't like CLF. I'm sorry, I believe that's Cleveland Cliffs. Man, it's sitting there. It's kind of consolidated. It hasn't done a whole lot. Any rating or opinion on CLF?
Well, this is one of the strongest stocks in the metals group, which in general we've been negative on. So I think the stock looks great. It's had a bullish rating and shaken from the analytics from the middle of December. It's been outperforming. You've got a nice pullback. There's very strong support at 950. It bounced off that yesterday. So this stock looks very good. I'm not up on the fundamentals, but the power gauge sort of does that heavy lifting for me, and this stock looks just fine. Looks, you want to buy it on weakness down here between, under $10. It rallied for almost 4% yesterday. So rallied from 960 up to 1015. Just buy the dips on this one and use a close stop, but this stock hasn't really done anything but impress here for the last 6 months.
Okay, my last question for you, Mark. Seasonal patterns, and people talk, the January effect and the Santa Claus rally, and one that's kind of losing its significance over the years. Buy Rosh Hashanah and sell Yom Kippur. You've been on Wall Street for a while. Last year I said buy Rosh Hashanah and buy Yom Kippur. Just had the. And I even got a new twist coming out on Friday, but you've been around for a while. Seasonal patterns, it's been a decent performer. I'm sure you don't figure that into the Chaikin power gauge.
No, not at all. I try and, alert people to seasonal patterns. So last year we were bearish because we were heading into September, or cautious, not bearish. And then quickly, when it didn't break down mid-month, I just turned on a dime. And the reality is that September has been a bad month. Part of the reason is that bear markets tend to end in September and October. So if you average all the results, you find out that, September's a pretty scary month because everybody's afraid of what's going to happen in October in a bear market. So if you just look back for the last 30 years, 87, 90, 97, 98, over and over again, even 08 into 09, bear markets tend to be weak in September and October. Why? Portfolio managers, traders come back from Labor Day and they take a close look at their portfolio. And even in bull markets, they get out the losers. They want to go into the fourth quarter with the strongest stock. So you normally expect some weakness in September, and then that turns around and you get a strong year end, particularly in the midterm election year. So I think there's a seasonal pattern that helps traders. If you see weakness in September, buy it.
Let's go talk China here before we let you go, Mark, because we got a couple traders in the chat wanting to know. Matt's wanting to know about Alibaba, BIDU. China has been so relatively weak relative to the U.S. markets here. I mean, if we look, at even the other at some of the indexes here, and you can look at the emerging markets, EM or FXI, it's been really weak here. Every time it catches a bid, they seem to sell these stocks off. Let's go to the big one, BABA. We know that one's widely followed here, at least over in the U.S. What are your thoughts here? What's the power or Chaikin Power Gauge saying on BA, and what's it saying on China overall?
Well, Power Gauge has been bearish, and rightly so, because China is in a bear market. And I think people who are saying now's the time to buy emerging markets and China are bucking the trend of a bear market that's going to be really painful as it unwinds. And a lot of this is tied to the currency, which quite honestly I don't understand. So I'll be the first person to tell you that if you're making investment decisions based on where currencies are headed, you got a big problem, because nobody really knows except trend followers. But in general, these are huge retailers, but I don't think we understand where they get their revenue. And so the technicals are really your guide, and Alibaba's making a new 52-week low. Why would you want to buy a stock making a new 52-week low in a country that's in a bear market? So I think it's as simple as that. If you want to make money in retail, buy the dips on Amazon, in my view. Are you going to get a bargain trade out of Alibaba? Maybe, but you better be very nimble.
Are they buying Amazon in a pullback? Is that when a day when it's up $5? Is that what you're considering a pullback in Amazon?
Tongue in cheek there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you'll get a pullback down to 1900. I don't know what's going to trigger it. In a stock like this, you try and buy the 21-day average. Right now, the 21-day average is at 1920, 22. So, if you got a pullback in the market of 1.5% to 3% in Amazon, 3% would get you pretty much down there. That's what I would be buying, because if you believe the market's going to be strong into year end, think about who's on the wrong side of the boat. Paul Tudor Jones used to say, when I want to make money, I want to see who's been wrong. And it's the hedge funds who've been wrong. They've been in the value trade. They've got to get into these growth stocks to play catch up in the fourth quarter. And nobody is going to sell their strong winners heading into the fourth quarter, because historically the stocks that do best in the first 9 months of the year continue strong through year end. So it's the three stocks I mentioned, right at the top of my list: Apple, Amazon, and Google. If you can't afford them, put on a bullish vertical call spread. Buy 10 shares, buy 5 shares if your position is $10,000, but don't shy away from them just because they've moved up and they're selling at very high prices. That's the hardest thing, I think, for traders and investors to do. They see a stock that's gone from 1,100 to 2,000. They say, oh my God, how can I buy it here? You have to buy it here if the fundamentals and the technicals support that.
Mark Chaikin is the founder of Chaikin Analytics. You can find everything he just said it pretty much on his site, on his platforms, his various platforms there. Mark, thanks so much for the time. As always, talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, by the way, in a couple of weeks, we will have launched our Power Gauge rating for ETFs coming on September 15th, combining fundamentals and technicals. We've been promising this for quite a while. We finally nailed it, and I think you're all going to love it. So let's talk about that in 2 weeks.
Very anxious to see that. All right, have a good one, Mark.
Enjoy. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Hey, happy holidays. I just want to cover one stock. Ike is new in the Google chat here, and opinions on Visa. A very unusual bar yesterday. I don't know if that was just, I looked for some news. I didn't see
No, money coming out of growth. It was MasterCard, same bar, Square, same bar. Money just flying out of the stocks that had been outperforming here. So that is ground zero. I mean, Visa's been straight up. It's been one of your big growth names. I still own MasterCard in my long-term investment portfolio. They're all the same. All the payment stocks got annihilated. So Square, PayPal, same story.
I'm not sure what your time frame is on this, but if you're looking to protect some gains, I keep a close eye on this 142 level. We stopped yesterday at 142.55, and you had your 42.67 close. Not getting a little bit of a bounce up, 53 cents, but to me, holding that low, 142.32, That's a big level. If you don't, I see more downside. A little bit under 140, I see a double bottom here. So if you're looking to lock in some profits, it's important when you get a big red bar like that, that the next day you don't go near that red bar and you don't take it out. So there's your thoughts on Visa.
Need to mention also that American Express, as a report, is being investigated by the FBI, or their Forex unit specifically is what's being investigated by the FBI. So this will be one to watch going forward in that space.
Okay, thank you, Spencer.
Jump over. Let's go to the earnings parade. We gave you Cloudera. Let's give you OLLI's bargain outlet, OLLI, because they reported last night, and that stock has been an absolute monster. It's not giving anything back really here this morning. Spencer, details.
Is it OLLI or OLLI? I always thought it was OLLI.
OLLI.
I guess I don't know. Okay.
OLLI. I think OLLI.
Q2 adjusted EPS 40 cents is a 4-cent beat on the estimate. Q2 comps for the quarter were up 4%. Sales coming in higher, 288 million versus 284 million. So a good Q2, and they're raising their guidance for the fiscal year. EPS outlook for the year was raised by 8 cents on the low end from $1.65 to $1.73. Sales guidance was raised just by a hair, still in the 1.2 billion range on the low end on the low end of the range there. Comps for the year up 2 to 3%. Good report.
Joel, I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
Straight up, but it's not going down. Like, you think, okay, price for perfection coming in. It was a good report. It did lift, originally got in the 90s, and then it fell significantly down the 85s, but it's come right back. And it's just kind of trading flat here, hanging out. Not really trading much, though.
91 even. That's where they took it up, and they took it up, they took it down. For this one, just the way that it's set up on the dailies here, I just want to see, like, if I'm buying this thing off the open, 89.10 was yesterday's high. That was the all-time high. I just want to see it open up, go 89 bid, take out the 89.5 offers, take out the, just go. If not, then I would say if it got below the close here, I would play it tight. Your all-time closing high from yesterday is 88.50. You take that out, you got a long way to go to yesterday's low, 86.40, and that was just above Tuesday's low at 86.20. So I just want to see this thing out of the gate and rallying. If not, then what would the stock began August at? It ended July at 69.50. We just hit $90. That's one hell of a nothing. Dennis, you must like this place. It's like a bargain.
I've never been in one. I probably would like it.
I haven't been in one either. I
like the deal, so maybe I would like it. Maybe I should find myself an OLLI's. Is there any in the D area?
I don't. Spencer, help me out. I don't know.
I've also never been in one, so I can't say. Do you want to go over? Dennis, I don't know if you care about DocuSign. They are a recent.
Yeah, go sure.
They are a recent IPO, and the numbers did come in higher than estimates. So the Q2 adjusted EPS for DOCU, 3-cent gain versus a 1-cent estimate there. Sales 167 versus 159 $1 million. So beats on the top and bottom line. Their Q3 sales guidance also came in higher than the estimate. 172 to 175 million is the range they gave. 165 is the estimate. Sales for the fiscal year also coming in higher by about $30 million.
I don't follow this company at all. All we can say is, the trend, I guess, is still your friend. It's been in an uptrend since the IPO. I would say the bulls are in control. I probably wouldn't want to see it take out the low of the move from 2 days ago, which was $60.83. Probably want to see it hold that. But as long as it's above that, I guess the bulls are still in control.
And if you get anywhere near $66 on your last two highs, were $65.70 and $65.87. That's $4 away. Man, I've used this service before, and I can't believe I did not follow this. It's really a good service if you need to do a lot of documents and everything. 37.
You need to sign a lot of documents.
Yeah. Well, if you need to, yeah. It's none of your business. Started out, straight up off the IPO. All-time closing high. That was from yesterday. If you're looking, 2 days ago, 64.85. If I'm trying to find some support here, I guess I'd get a little nervous if you took out $60 because there's not much until you get to the $56, $57 area.
Reporting here this morning, we're going to jump over to a G3, GIII, trading up apparel up 7% here. We have no retail stock that is up 20% this morning, so this is our best candidate here. Did we get it yesterday on who was the one yesterday that reported the retailer?
Vera.
Did you end up touching the 20%? Who was it?
Vera.
I gotta look at my sheet from yesterday.
I'm saying
VRA. It was VRA. Did we end up getting up 20%? I don't know. I think we were just shy of it. Anyways, so our only candidate right now so far, well, what's Navistar doing? I guess you could say that's retail kind of. Oh, no, it's not even close. Only up 4%. So our best candidate right now for the up 20% retail stock of the day would be G3 Apparel, but I'm not sure it's going to make it.
Well, the numbers are excellent here. So Q2 EPS 22 cents versus a 3-cent estimate sale, 624 million versus 590. So huge beats there as well. Raising the guidance for the fiscal year, raising the EPS from $2.20 to $2.45 on the low end of the range. They're raising their sales from just under $3 billion to just over $3 billion. That's the fiscal year raises there. The Q3 EPS guidance was a little bit light. The Q3 sales guidance was in line.
I mean, $50, Joel. I think you could test it. That's where your big level is. What are your thoughts?
I lost the stock. What stock are you talking about?
GIII.
Oh yeah, too many eyes.
Roman numerals.
Yeah, and it's the old on the daily. It's the old accordion chart here.
Yeah, it's
so
tough,
I don't know. We're trading up 294.47 even. Pre-market high. Someone has an opinion just under $48. $47.95 and $47.90 are your pre-market high, double top last 15 minutes. So it better barrel through 48. That also coincides with a 47.77 high. So if this thing cannot get up to that pre-market high, take back that 48. I'm looking for a little bit of a fade in this one. Getting down to yesterday's
I'll take the
close.
other side of the trade.
Okay, what do you want to do?
Any retailer. No fading in the retail. You already got me on the Tiffany's once, but I'll take this one, and I think it can. Oh man, what am I going to propose here? I
think my chops on this one. What do you got?
I think it closed above 47.
I knew you were going to do that. 47.50.
Oh.
Because I was going to say 48.
Split the difference, 47.25.
No, we split the difference already.
No, you should have started at 48. That's not how you negotiate. You started too low. You should have started at 48. And I might have said 47.50, but now you said 47.50. So now I go 47.25.
Oh, God. Sold.
47.25. We got a bet. So I've got over 47.25. You've got under 47.25. If it closes at 47.25, no deal.
We buy Spencer lunch.
We buy Spencer lunch if it closes 47. Spencer gets 2 free lunches out of this. If it closes at 47.25. So he'll be watching this all day.
Hey, I'll take it.
LB, let's go to LB for DC. It's bouncing here this morning, but the bounce is short-lived and it's already starting to give it back. And I tell you, the stock is just okay. So give us the news here this morning. It looks like comps came out. What'd they say?
Yeah, August comps are up 1%. Yay, 1%.
Ooh.
That's it.
Victoria's Secret's comps were down 5%, so they still got all their problems with Victoria's Secrets. I don't know. I mean, is it going to have a relief rally here eventually? Sure. Somewhere in there it's going to. But, you look at this, the 9% dividend now, and you think, man, that is not safe at all. And, they don't knock stocks down to a 9% dividend. That the dividend's safe on it. Comps, not, that their major brand, Victoria's Secrets, has just been a disaster. Why try to call a bottom on this? Maybe you get lucky. Somebody's eventually going to call the bottom, but there's a lot more people who have not been lucky trying to call a bottom. Joel was one of them. I was one of them.
I'm still in it.
You still in it?
Well, I don't want to throw Lisa under the bus, but this was one of her picks, and we had a nice lead on it, and then Ryan Craver warned us ahead of earnings, but still got it. I'm kind of hoping
get a little dividend for a while anyway.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping a rounding bottom here. I'm hoping.
What you need? I agree.
I need 26 bucks to hold in the worst way. It's trading up 76 cents. So now shorts may have been covered in, but you could have a long-term bottom here. But I certainly don't want to see it, make a new low of the move. But I'm beating her up for that pick. But you know what she nailed? Exact Sciences. I'm afraid to look at this one. I held it through the earnings report.
Holy cow. Why didn't we have Lisa on the show to tell us about this one?
Well, you would have been too happy when it went from 65 to under 50 bucks on its earnings report, and then got this deal with Pfizer. And I thought about selling it at 60. I thought about it at 70, and I'm really thinking about it at 80. But we'll see. We'll just hold on to it. But
you're a long-term investor. You hold. So
I don't sell. You
don't sell. You and Warren, you guys don't sell. I need to start going back to that because I didn't sell for a long time my long-term holdings either. Now I sell everything. But L Brands, going back to that one, man, I think it's so tough to call the bottom. Sorry, Joel, but I don't like this one either. And you know what? We'll see what happens today. It's a very important day for its comps. It was trading up in the pre-market, already giving it back. I mean, we're up 20 cents here now. Let's see what happens when the real money comes in. But they start hitting it here again. That low could be in jeopardy too. So I think you're absolutely right. It needs to hold a 25.89 low from yesterday. Takes that out, the thing could be at 25 or 24 bucks. I mean, it's just in a world of hurt. And if you're trying to call the bottom in this, that is a very difficult thing to do.
Okay, S&Ps, it's going to be a quiet day, Dennis. You're going to be done by like 10 to 10 here.
What's going on?
It's just
Trade.
It's because of the jobs number tomorrow. Everyone's going to be squaring positions.
You got to trade these pot stocks. The only thing that moves.
Oh, yeah. You still got your spread on?
Oh, yeah. All exotic spreads going on here. Trying to work out, but no such luck yet. I did cover a little bit of Afria on and I like this Toronto pre-market here now. I never knew that just when that started, but I've been trading Toronto pre-market for a while. Opens at 8 o'clock. And trades pre-market till 9:30, and then 9:30 the regular session starts, and then it goes from has a little after-hour session from 4 to 5. So I love the after-hour.
Oh my God, it must be you and the institutions trading that.
Right? It's a little bit of volume. Actually, Afria is trading pretty here in the pre-market. It's trading down right now 40 cents on Toronto. So it trades under APHQF here, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And what did I want to talk about here? AMD from yesterday. Holy smokes, man. That thing got up near 30 bucks. Dennis, were you out there at 30? Did you miss? I mean, it got to
I was busy, short and other texts. It was one I looked at though. It was one of my indicators because after about 5 minutes, you saw the big pop up. And after 5 minutes, it had given back half the gains. And that's when I looked at that. I was like, I'm sure it's some Qs. So it was another tell as well. And I mean, look at your leaders. It's not necessarily looking at the biggest components in the index. It's sometimes just looking at the leaders. What has been the leaders and keeping the leaders on your screen? And AMD, Square, even stocks like, Amazon. These have been the leaders here of this recent rally. And when they roll over, they drag the index down with it. So they started to roll over and they dragged the rest of the index down. That's why I had a pretty good short on the Qs. But I did not trade AMD. It got right up, kissed almost the $30 level. Big hole numbers coming to play once again. And then fell a tidy little, 3 points on $30. Fell over 10% in the next hour. Crazy moves.
Yeah. And wow, the volume stepped up again from 190 mil to 255 mil. So continued momentum. 29.94. That's not too far away. So I'm sure the orders are building up at 30. Keep that as resistance. Meantime, you posted a new, not recently, probably 8-10 year high. I'll just be keeping an eye on 28.51. That was your close from yesterday. You had another 28.06 close. So 2 closes in the 28 handle. I'd like to, maybe just do a little pause here, a little more consolidation before another leap forward. And I still got to try and get Lisa Sue on the show and to see if that's the same Lisa Sue that I knew from Chicago back. I know I keep saying it, but we'll see if we can get her on the show one day. She's the CEO of AMD.
Fuzzy asking about Land's End, assuming they had some news. This is a Sears spinoff there from a few years ago. I don't know, anything related to Sears, I don't like it, but automatically. But anyways, I wish I would have looked at this yesterday ahead of the earnings because it's down 16% here today. So I guess we do have a candidate for a 20% retail mover. Did not notice LE. I'm going to say this is going to be the one that's going to move 20%. I think it tests $20 here today. LE down 4 points here right now. Ugly.
Yeah, well,
Spencer.
Well, the wrong
Go ahead, Spence.
20% in the wrong direction though. Q2.
Oh, that's the rule though. You only need a 20% mover every day on the retail, up or down.
That's the first time you're clarifying that right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, it's a
Okay.
ridiculous
All
rule
right.
to begin with. So we can make the rules up as we go along in this one.
It's true. We can. All right. Q2 EPS 16-cent loss versus a 4-cent loss estimate. So a big miss on that. Sales of 307.9 versus $322 million. So big misses for the Q2 print.
Hate the stock. Bottom line, $20. I think it's seeing 20 today. My opinion. Anyways, obviously things can bounce around. Things are going to be wild, but I don't want anything to do with this stock.
Yeah, boom, 1940 low. That was your low just back in June. Just hanging out. The thing that what Dennis is looking at here is you got a 2030 low, but like you're just not bouncing back into the 21 handle and going back up. There is some resistance at 2170. Just hanging too close to the pre-market low. As I mentioned, $20 is a psychological number, and then 1940 was your June low.
Lots of tickers coming from the chat, so let's just go there for a bit. Stock Jock was asking about IOVA. I do not follow this company at all, so I'm going to have to go to Spencer Israel for the news here today. It's down 12%, assuming a trial fail or something.
I am looking for that right now. So hold on a second.
Okay.
Well,
I track down what that news. They don't have any PRs out today, so I'm looking for
There's something, or it's obviously something going on. Stocks down 12%. Give us quick technicals, Joel. I'll hunt in the background too.
Well, we took out, it had a strong day yesterday. So whatever the news was, people were leaning the wrong way. So $17, 17.10 was your 2 days close, and that was your high from yesterday. So that's your major resistance for now. Coming back on the downside, since we're down 229, just pull up the dailies here and take a look at the $14 area. 14.20, 14 and a quarter, 14 and a quarter. Stop there on 3 different occasions. This was back in August. So if you're trying to bring a short in, I think at least the first time, if you get down to 14, you should get a little bit of a bounce. There was also a low at 13.90 and 13.85 back in at the beginning of August. So all kinds of support here. And the lower 14 handle for this issue. We'll see if it gets there. Also, just check the news here. If there's
presentation at HC Wainwright Global Investor Conference in New York City there after hours last night, and I believe some data that was coming in there wasn't that good on a phase 2 trial.
Okay, all right.
So that's your culprit here this morning, and the stock is trading. You got to watch these conferences sometimes, because sometimes they release some information not known to the overall market, and they get whacked on it. And that's what you're seeing at IOVA this morning. AVGO. They're going to report here after the bell. Stock has been on a little bit of a comeback trail, more value tech. So not surprising, yesterday in the growth tech wreck, we see some of the value tech catch a bid. Broadcom was one of them, showing a little bit of life. It's come back quite a bit from those lows. You know what? Doesn't look bad here. It's in a little bit of an uptrend here. I'd get on board for a little while.
Yeah, it's if you go into rally mode here, after you had that big breakdown under $200, I know some people scooped it up here from the chat. I can remember them talking about it. Boy, 230 is pesky here. The rebound off that low has been 229.77. That's flanked by 28.65, 29.29, 228.84. I mean, a couple $100 stock. So to me, 230 on the number, that would be your resistance point. If in fact you can take that out on a good number, you got a big old gap to fill in this thing. And that gap area takes you all the way up to 242.61. That was the day that it closed at 243.44 and dropped to 210. So really want to have it clear 230 and get up to fill that gap at 242.61. Definitely, earnings, coin flip, anything could happen, but we'll see the report after the close.
Rocket, Duluth, my favorite underwear, DLTH, comfortable underwear. The thing was taken off yesterday. Blast off into orbit, breakout city. I tell ya, man, I love these underwear. I should have bought the stock. When I bought the underwear originally, and it's probably a year ago, I should have bought the stock too, because holy cow, I'd be up a lot of money here now. Anyways, they're the most comfortable underwear. DLTH, give us your thoughts here as this thing is in full breakout.
Well, so they have those, did you do it online or they have it in Canada?
I don't know. My wife got them for me. So I just, really? I like the commercial. I was all about the commercials. And I was like, I want to try. She was asking me, what do you want for your birthday? So I can actually date this back. So this is my birthday a year ago. So going to June of 2017. And she's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, you know, this Duluth commercial? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. The underwear, the long underwear, and then they have the long shirt, and they show the you know, when you bend over. I was like, it doesn't show your butt crack. Anyways, the commercials are just awesome. It's like, I want to try those underwear. I want to try those Duluth underwear. So anyways, I think she must have ordered them online. They weren't cheap. She's like, don't even ask me what these cost because they weren't cheap. I was like, I won't ask them.
Oh, really?
Anyways, but I tried them out. I tried them, and I have like 5 pairs she bought me. Those are the underwears I always choose first in my underwear drawer. So once they're dirty, then I have to go on to the other ones.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
So you got 5 pairs.
It's a good tangent, Spencer. It's like,
you have enough.
It's like advertising for Duluth.
You have enough.
Pay us for this. Call Duluth right now. They'll be a sponsor of the show, and we'll wear their underwear on the show and say how comfortable they are.
Who's gonna know?
Rasnick will love that.
Who's gonna know?
I could show you on video, I guess, but you wouldn't like that.
No. But at least you got 5 pairs, so now we know you got enough for 10 days.
Yeah, exactly. Because I did do that. I turned them inside out.
All right. Well, how we digress here?
They had earnings. They had earnings.
Buyer pullbacks.
They had earnings. That's the catalyst here. So I'll just read you the numbers. It's funny, actually. They called a downgrade. That I guess 2 weeks ago now from bear, downgraded to neutral, ahead of the report. The report came out yesterday and it was good. Q2 EPS 20 cents versus a 14-cent estimate. Sales 110 versus $106 million. They reaffirmed their EPS guidance for the year and their sales guidance for the year.
The underwear, man. I'm telling you.
JV Spec is ordering some right now.
We should get a kickback for that.
Should we get a coupon? No.
Get a kickback for that. We got to call Duluth up. We'll be the sponsor shop. Anyway, they can sponsor us. DLTH. Okay. You can argue with this chart. This trend is your friend.
I'm not fading you on this one.
I say pullback. I'd be a buyer pullbacks. It's in an uptrend.
Big volume too. One of the biggest volume days it's had in quite some. I mean, I'm going all the way back. This might be its biggest volume day ever. Now you're moving up. Boy, just 3 months. 3 of the last 4 months have been rocket ships. I just want to see it continue through yesterday's high, which is 34.25. We're at 34.30 already. And then you can just do the monthlies here. And you can see at a monthly high at 37.49. And then the all-time high at 38.19. You can drill down if you want to look at those individual daily levels, see if there's some double tops or double bottoms, and in between that and the all-time high. But,
double bottoms.
Yeah. Oh man, that GI, I'm not looking good on this one. 48.
What's happening?
48.05.
Nice. It's a long ways to go. What do we say at the close? So it's a long ways to go.
47.50.
You'll be watching this all day.
Yeah, 47.50 is the level on that one to watch.
Ratings changes in the next minute here. Probably Matt Cole prancing around the Benzinga office. Is he this morning, Spencer? His INSG is his biggest holding.
He's in Arizona right now.
Oh, he's not. So he's prancing around in Arizona right now because INSG, which again, thanks, Cole. I bought this back, when he was liking it back at $1.50. I'm still in it. I don't know where to sell. Anyways, INSG 350 this morning gets an upgrade from Canaccord, so he's pretty happy. Chevron, ConocoPhillips catches a downgrade at Bank America. And that's pretty much the bulk of the big ones there. Anything you saw that strikes your fancy, Mr. Israel?
I saw Rite Aid got reinstated by Goldman Sachs at a sell.
Big call there.
Yeah. And
anyways, it's going to zero, but it's going to take years to get there.
Yep. What else did I see? That's pretty much it.
I just want to make quick comments here. We've had a few people chiming in on Bitcoin here. two really bad days. Yesterday
Goldman
and
Sachs,
today,
man.
we fell off from 7,400. Actually, it gave you a little shot at a double top there, 74.15, 73.95. We're $1,000 lower than that, and that is a pretty quick move here. I mean, we were talking about, just under 6,000. We had this is the SIBO futures low at 58.50. So 6,000, that's a big level. I mean, you take that out, and boy, oh boy, everyone's been talking about 5,000, 5,500 coming up, and it's banged on the door of this area quite a few times with a lot of momentum on the downside. So just wanted to recap there. Bitcoin. Dennis, we'll throw one more in there. Stargazers asked about Micron here, and just any thoughts on that one?
Still holding it. It catches. What was the news today? There was some news. Somebody lowered the price target. One of those analysts had a $100 price target, lowered it to 75. So I saw that. That might be your catalyst why it's down here today. I like it down. You know what? I'm sticking with it. I have only 2/3 of my position. I'm going to buy the rest of it down to 45, and then we'll just go and run with it. And it's on the long-term invest portfolio. Try not to look at it. From a trading perspective, it's in the middle of nowhere. From a long-term investment perspective, still like the valuation.
I'm just going to look at this one. I'm going to throw out all the noise, but I'm just going to look at this this low here, this 45.62 low, and then you got over $53, 53.68. So I think that is like what, a 7-point move there, right? 45. Yep, 7-point move. Almost an 8-point move, 4 points. I don't know. This better hold in here like 48.5. This 50% retracement. It better stop going down today or hold it. Or I'm looking for it to test the low of the move at 45.62. All right, Spencer. We're not going to pay you overtime. We kept you a minute over. Want to wrap things up and preview the final show of the week?
Yeah, and just to recap, Goldman Sachs was the catalyst for the Bitcoin drop. Report that they have discontinued their plans to trade Bitcoin. Or for opening and trading desks to trade cryptocurrencies. So that was the kind.
Where is Bitcoin now? What's the price on it?
63.65 is the futures.
I mean, we keep coming back down to the 6,000 level. You hit a level enough times, eventually it's going to take it out. But I mean, support is support until it's broken. So we've had multiple buyers down here before. So maybe keep playing it until it doesn't work anymore. But I tell you, this thing starts trading 5,500. It could be up 4,500 in a hurry. So we'll see if 6,000 can hold again.
All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's going to be it for us today. If you missed any part of our show or you want to catch any part of our archives, you can go to our podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, or Google Play. Just search for PreMarket Prep on any of those platforms, or you can go to youtube.com/Benzinga TV. Thanks to our guest, Mark Chaikin. Thanks to all of you in our chat rooms on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. All the information on our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. With that said, hope you all have a good rest of your day, and we'll hope you join us again on Friday.